Juan Mendez Scott's Pool Party. Chapter 11. Some wounds never heal. June nights on the water had a way of casting a spell. Proud Mary's restaurant buzzed with life. The tiki bar packed with people laughing, talking, and unwinding. The smell of hot wings mixed with the briny aroma of the Piscataway Creek. The glow of the setting sun reflecting off the waters of the Potomac River. The atmosphere was deceptively carefree, a stark contrast to my world being turned upside down at that moment. Blake and I sat at the bar, finishing off a platter of wings. The grease on my fingers and the tangy spice in my mouth were the only tangible distractions from the gnawing guilt that followed me everywhere. "I'm so sick of Chris's bullshit accusations," I whispered, wiping my hands on a napkin. "Every time I turn around, he's there, blaming me for Leona." Blake nodded, taking a swig of his beer. "Yeah, man, it's getting old. He's just looking for somebody to blame." As if summoned by our conversation, Chris's car pulled into the lot. He stumbled out, visibly drunk, his eyes locking onto me with a fury that made my blood run icy. "Here we go," I said, tight with anticipation. Chris staggered towards us, his expression twisted with grief and anger. "Ace, you sneaky son of a bitch." "Chris, not here," I said, trying to keep calm. "This isn't the time or place." "Shut the fuck up," he shouted, shoving me hard off the bar stool. "You think you can just go on like nothing happened? You killed her and you fucking know it." I shoved him back, my own anger flaring. "I didn't kill ya, girl. It was an accident, jackass. She fell and hit her head." "Bullshit." Chris swung at me, his punch sloppy and fueled by drunken rage. We grappled, fists flying and bodies colliding. The sounds of our scuffle cut through the restaurant's lively chatter. People started to gather, trying to pull us apart. Blake jumped in, grabbing my arm, while others restrained Chris. "Come on, fellas," Blake shouted, pushing me back. "We can't be out here doing this shit." Chris, held back by a couple of guys from the bar, glared at me, his chest heaving. "You're a bitch-ass motherfucker, Ace. You've always been a little bitch trying to be hard, but you're a sucker for real." The words stung, but I kept my mouth shut. The tension was palpable, the crowd's murmurs a low hum in the background. Blake dragged me away, and we made our way down to the docks, heading for my dad's yacht. The night air was cooler here, the gentle lapping of the water against the hulls a stark contrast to the chaos we'd left behind. We climbed aboard, Blake grabbing a couple of beers from the cooler. "Man, what a mess," he said, handing me a bottle. I took a long drink, the cold liquid soothing my raw throat. "Yeah, it's a disaster, but I'm not taking the blame for something I didn't do." Blake nodded, leaning back against the rail. "Chris is hurting. He needs someone to blame, and right now, that's you." "Doesn't make it right?" I said, bitterness creeping into my voice. "No, it doesn't, but it's how he's coping. We've all got our ways, I guess." We sat there in silence for a while, the distant sounds of the restaurant fading into the night. The guilt still gnawed at me, but the beer and Blake's presence made it a little easier to bear. "Do you think it'll ever get better?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Blake shrugged. "Maybe. Time heals, they say, but it's gonna be rough for a while." "Yeah," I said, staring out at the dark water. "I just wish there was something I could do." "You're doing all you can, Ace. Just hang in there." We clinked our bottles together, a silent toast to surviving the storm. The laughter from the tiki bar drifted across the water, a stark reminder of the normalcy we'd lost. "What if Chris never forgives me?" I asked, the doubt crawling in. "Then that's on him," Blake said firmly. "You can't control how he feels. Just focus on getting through this bullshit with him." As we sat there, the night deepening around us, I couldn't shake the feeling that something worse was on the horizon. The guilt, the anger, the blame, it was all building to a breaking point. And when it came, I wasn't sure any of us would survive it. The water lapped gently at the sides of the yacht, a soothing sound that belied the turmoil within me. The air was thick with the scent of salt and the faint smell of fish, the cool breeze doing little to dispel the heat of the day. "What if this never goes away?" I asked, barely more than a whisper. Blake looked at me, his expression serious. It will. One way or another, it will. But you've got to be strong, Ace. For Leona, for yourself. Just be strong. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. The strain of my guilt was a heavy burden, but Blake's words were a small comfort. As we sat there, the stars overhead and the dark water below, I made a silent vow. I would find a way to make things right, no matter what it took. But deep down, I knew that some wounds never healed, and some mistakes could never be undone. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger and doubt. And as the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come.